Hey, Christmas cookie people, how we doing?
Good.
Looking good
Hi,
out
Eric.
there.
How are you?
Hey, some of you I know, some of you I don't yet know. It's good to see some familiar faces, some with Santa hats on. It's good to see some new ones too. Good to meet y'all. And I hope you all have enough chocolate chips to pull this off because probably if I know anything about people and chocolate chip cookies, you are probably going to be eating them along as we go. Yeah, Miriam, I saw you had 4.5 pounds. That's probably just about enough. We'll see how far we get. Yeah. I
I don't
got you.
know if
We're
it's
going to
just
give a
me.
minute for everybody to get here.
I don't know if it's just me, but
Go ahead.
you're frozen.
Am I frozen? All right. Hopefully, I'll unfreeze here in a second. Okay. Hold on a second. How am I doing right now? Much my audio.
Your camera's off. Your camera's off. It has your name and it's black.
Right. So what I'm doing? Yep.
Try turn.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Sometimes I can unfreeze. Let's everybody turn your mics off for the moment so I can do an introduction. And we're going to make sure we've got the right materials here at the start so that when we get going on this, we can run. How many of you have read the materials list and you've got all that stuff here in front of you? Sugar, flour, butter, and other things, right? I got 1, 2 hands. Miss White, Mr. Pinchuk, good to see you back there. I know you guys are ready to go. You're set. Fantastic. Okay, so a couple of things we want to check on before we get running on this too. Besides your ingredients, you want to have some tools. Measuring cups, measuring spoons. Want to have those things on hand. William's got them. I see a number of us are holding them up. We're set. And let's see, you're going to want to have 2 bowls. I've got one for a mixer, and I've got one over here that we can use, kind of big bowls. Perfect, Thomas. That's it. And what we're going to do with these ingredients, as you'll soon see, is put dry ingredients in one, wet ingredients in another. So those of you that need to gather some stuff, go for it. Let's gather some things. Perfect, Benji. You're set. And then we'll get underway here in just a second. I know Miriam's gone for a run of here. And let me ask, while everyone else is here, hi, William's mom. Thank you. While I've got everyone here, how many of you already bake things right now? You know a little bit about the way around the kitchen, one way or another. Okay, that's what I thought. Benji, you got your hand up there. What do you know?
Oh, one I was going to say I do bake some, mostly chocolate chip cookies. That's like one of the few things I bake, but I love baking chocolate chip cookies. I also wanted to say that I'd be possibly in Miss Silkwood's class, but then I realized that some of my 2 favorite teachers are in this class, you and Miss White. I was like, ooh, yay.
Benji, you rock. Thank you. And it is a pleasure, by the way, to teach with Miss White yet again, because a number of years ago, Miss White and I actually taught in the same brick and mortar school. Some of you might not know that. It was a little piece of history there. Aaron, what you got up there?
I usually cook me and my dad's chocolate chip championship winning cookies. It's a family thing. We do have like a championship chocolate chip cookies. They're awesome. And I also cook the best cornbread in the house.
Aaron, I will be right over. You give me 10 minutes and I will be there. I'm looking forward to eating what you have to cook, buddy. That's fantastic. How many of you around the call love cornbread? How many of you love? I do. I'm a huge fan. We got old family recipes for such things here. William, how are you doing up there? I see your hand popping up.
Good. Me and Aaron are both in the same history class with Mrs. Jacobson. And you said no stuff about kitchen. I do know that you never should plug in your electric knife hand mixer or mixer when you're not using it, because that can be finger losing and emergency room or urgent care situations. So best to leave those unplugged till it's time.
I would very much love to avoid any of you going to the emergency room from this call. So let's make sure our safety is really good tonight. I think that would just be a very prudent thing to do, right? And of course, we have in cooking a little bit of danger here. We're dealing with hot ovens. We're dealing with sometimes mechanical mixers. I've got all my tools here. I'll show you around on those in a second. So everybody do follow your safety rules. No rushing tonight. Let's just take this one nice and leisurely and make our cookies in line. Miriam, go ahead. Then we're going to get underway.
I think I just left my hand up from something else. Sorry.
No sweat. No sweat. Okay, so first things first, let's survey our materials and our equipment just to make sure we've got everything we need. All of you are volunteering. Yes, I've got this stuff. Let's just double check and make sure. What I'm going to do is pivot the camera down a bit so you can just see the area in front of me here. I've got a shelf here. There we go. And we want to make sure we got some stuff. We have our mixing devices right here. I've got some dry measure cups and I have some teaspoon, tablespoon measures. I'm going to keep that off to the side. I've got, let's see, 2 bowls. We just checked on those, 1 and 1. I also have one of these. And in it, I have some of my ingredients. 2 eggs. 2 eggs right here, straight from the chickens. Farm fresh eggs ready to go. And I'm going to keep them in this container because this container will make sure those eggs don't get broken before I need them. That's an important piece of all this adventure. I've got 2 full sticks of butter, 1 cup of butter right here. And those of you who have never inspected the side of a stick of butter, it actually has the measurements on there for you. You can see where the tablespoons are if you need to cut that. You can see where the cups are down at the bottom. And this recipe for cookies calls for 2 whole sticks of butter. This is a very southern dish, isn't it? I have 2 kinds of sugar, too. I have granulated sugar, white sugar, and I have brown sugar. Does anyone know the difference between these 2? Does anyone know why one's white, one's brown? White's your set. William, what do you know? Why is one white and one brown here?
Molasses. Brown sugar has molasses. I just mentioned that when we were pre-measuring out all the ingredients with my mom. That's why you pack it in, unlike most materials when you're measuring it. And that's why you have to tap the bottom of your measuring cup to get the brown sugar out.
That is correct. William, you were spot on that. So brown sugar has the molasses in it. That's some of the natural byproduct of sugar. And it adds to the taste. Molasses are a darker, deeper sugar note than white sugar like this. So we've got a little bit of both in here. It's going to contribute to the success of our cookies. I have some flour, all-purpose flour, ready to go. I have, well, this is a little bit of overkill, but a bag of baking soda. We use baking soda here at the house for a lot of stuff. We use it from everything from cooking to even freshening up a carpet. You can use baking soda for that. Yep, Benji, you got that. And, of course, the single most important ingredient in this whole big adventure, chocolate chips. Now, not all chocolate chips are created equal, and it's important to take note. Mr. Pinchek's ready to go, man. We are set. It's good to note that there's more than one kind of chocolate chip, and it all depends on the flavor you like. Milk chocolate chips taste a little bit like candy bar chocolate. If you like the chocolate you get in a Milky Way candy bar or the outside of a Three Musketeers, then milk chocolate chips are the ones you want to use in your cookies. But if you like a kind of darker chocolate, maybe one you'd get in gosh, there's a lot of varieties for semi-sweet. Yep. And there it is. Thomas has got it. The original Toll House morsels are semi-sweets. Nice, everybody. You are prepared. So here's a fun experiment. I'm going to show you how to make cookies tonight, but you guys can make more cookies. Go out and get yourself a bag of a different flavor chip and try it. You can do it with Reese's Pieces chips. There's all kinds out there. There are options. Benji, what do you know?
One, I usually use semi-sweet chocolate chips. Even though I do like candy bars, I feel like milk chocolate and chocolate chip cookies is too much. There's something else I wanted to say. I wanted to say that our sugar that we have is like natural sugar or something. So while it's normal sugar, it looks more like brown sugar, just less fine.
Yes. And if you have that kind of sugar, and Aaron, I'll get you in just a second. I see your hand up there. If you have like turbinado sugar, which is a light brown sugar, it doesn't have all the molasses that's sticky. It doesn't clump. It's granular still. You can use that almost like white sugar. The amount of brown in there, the molasses content is so low, it's practically white sugar. You can play with it as you will. And you know what, kids? It's important to remember when doing something like cookies that we can change up the recipes a little bit. Once you get the baseline down, you can say, you know, I like a little more vanilla in mine, or I like mine a little sweeter. And you can add a tablespoon here or take a little bit away from over there. There's a lot of options. This is just our baseline. So consider it like science. We're running one good experiment tonight, but cookies are unlimited experiments, kids. Let's remember this. Aaron, what you got? And then Ash, I've got you too. Miss White.
My family, we like my mom mostly really loves the oatmeal raisin cookies with chocolate chips in them too. That's just like awesome. It's just good.
Yeah.
I love it so much. Me and my sister Naomi got it from my mom. Her mom that like last year. She loved my grandma. She loved them, and that's where my mom got it from. Then we got it from her. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Aaron, I'm going to tell you the recipe I'm making right now is the same one my grandmother used to make for us. And it's an old recipe. So here's to family recipes, buddy. We got some good ones.
Well,
Miss White, how we doing down there?
I wanted to share that I almost made a very drastic mistake because when I set out my ingredients tonight, I got out my baking powder instead of baking soda. And as I was looking at them, luckily Mr. John said, that's not right. So I almost made a very bad error, but we are not. So double check, you guys, that you have baking soda, not baking powder, like I just did, because it would have been really bad.
I see everybody holding up the square box. It looks like everybody's good on that one. Good call. That's beautiful. Thank you. William, go ahead, and then we're going to start mixing some ingredients here.
You said you could take out modifying the recipe. Well, for those of you that aren't too keen on chocolate, you know you can always take out the chocolate chips and then you've just got cookies, not chocolate chip cookies.
You're spot on, buddy. And you can sub in raisins. You might not have thought of that one too, like Aaron was mentioning there too. Yeah, see, there's some good ones. There's a lot of options here, kids. So think about this as like a blank canvas. It's a basic recipe. You can tweak it however you want. Yes, sir. That's the one. Okay, so here's our starting point. First off, when you're making cookies like this, you want to have your oven going before you ever put any ingredients in the bowl because the oven takes time to warm up. I've had this oven on now for about 15 minutes. It's set to about 375. So if you don't have your oven on, even before we start mixing ingredients, go turn that thing on. 375. And if you need your parents' help with that, go get that too. Not a problem. Mr. Pinchek, I am glad you are here tonight to witness the adventures that are here. Yes, that was your extreme close-up for the night, man. You're set. Some of you might not know, Mr. Pinchek is a musician, and I am a musician too, and Mrs. White is too. So we're being musicians tonight with cooking, right? We are being musicians with cookies. That's how we roll. All right, so prepare 2 bowls, and Miriam, I'll get your question in a second. 1 bowl will be for your dry ingredients. This will be your flour, your baking soda, and other pieces. And keep your second bowl off to the side for your wet ingredients. All the dries will go in one place. All the wets will go in another. And then we'll mix the 2 slowly together to make the magic that is cookies. Miriam, go ahead, then Benji.
I just wanted to know, do we need to melt the butter or anything, or just soften it?
Great question, and thank you for asking. I have had my butter out for a little bit, so it's already kind of soft. But if you just took your butter out of the refrigerator you might want to put it in the microwave for just about 30 seconds or so, kind of warm it up a little bit. Yeah, that Thomas has got it. So these butter sticks right now are squishy. You might not be able to tell, but I can squish them pretty easily. If you're squeezing your butter stick and it doesn't squish, you might want to just warm it up in the microwave. Benji was there. He's gone. Thomas, go ahead, and Benji will double back.
30 seconds might be a bit too much, because like often I think like often butter, I've known like this for a while, like often butter heats up really fast and it gets like really like liquidized really quickly.
Yeah. If you have liquid butter for this, it's still okay. It'll still work for you. So if 30 seconds seems like too much, you can cut it down to 20 or 10. It's your call. We're good. Ultimately, that butter's going in the bowl, and we're going to turn that into cookies. While I'm addressing a couple questions, Benji, you're up. Everybody grab your cup measures, and let's get 2 1/4 cups of flour into the dry bowl. 2 1/4 cups. That's 2 of these big ones for me, and 1 of these small ones. 2 cups and 1/4. Benji, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that my chocolate chip cookie recipe is slightly different. It's like it has less flour and sugar and less chocolate chips, but the same amount of everything else. It's interesting. I wonder if this would
works.
probably be a bit sweeter. I also never separate the
Maybe.
dries the same way. I like to just put every dry thing in and then every wet thing in, but not in separate bowls.
All of our kung fu is a little different, but ultimately we're going to end up with some good cookies. I got my 2 1/4 cups of flour in my bowl, dry bowl, and I'm about to add 1 tablespoon of baking soda. The tablespoon is the big measure, right? Here's a little bit of math for you. Tablespoon and teaspoon. Tablespoon's the big guy. So let's grab that and add 1 tablespoon of baking soda. And in case you all haven't measured dry ingredients before, when you do so, you want to kind of level them off to the top of the measure like this. Kind of make it flat on the top. You don't want it too much of a mound unless the recipe says so. So 2 1/4 cups of flour. Thank you, Mom. 2 1/4 cups of flour, 1 tablespoon of soda. And this is the fun part about running a cooking show too, because I'm trying to pace it out by looking around the call and seeing how everybody's doing. This is like the common arts class. When we're cooking and we're about to do so in our kitchens, I'm always watching around, seeing who's doing what. 2 1/4 cups of flour, 1 tablespoon of baking soda. And remember, when you're done with an ingredient, put it way off to the side so you know you've got it done. And last but not least, 1 teaspoon of salt. It's funny to think that there's salt in cookies, isn't it? But it does give it a sort of tang that really goes well contra to the sugar. There's a balance of taste in a good chocolate chip cookie. Little salty, little sugary. Just 1 teaspoon of salt is all you need. Benji, how you doing up there? Aaron, did you have a question? I see your hand up there, and then Addie, I've got your question too. Old hand, no sweat.
Oh, I forgot it.
Oh, it's okay, bud. If you remember, just pop that up again. Addie, how you doing up there?
Is it tablespoon or teaspoon for baking soda?
Baking soda is tablespoon, the big one, tablespoon. And for salt, it's teaspoon.
The recipe says teaspoon for baking soda,
It is? Okay. You can add a tablespoon. It's okay. That one will work. A teaspoon of baking soda will make them a little less crisp. So maybe some of you are like, ooh, I like that flavor. How many of you, I should ask this too, how many of you like soft baked cookies versus hard baked cookies? If you're a soft baked cookie fan, thumbs up. If you're a hard baked cookie fan, thumbs down. And I know, yeah, some of you need more thumbs, I see. Yes. Yes. Got it. So it's funny. Look around the call. We got a whole bunch of different styles here. So that actually comes out in part in the recipe and in part in the oven. And we can leave them in the oven longer if you don't like them soft bake. So more on that in a bit. Give me a thumbs up if you have finished mixing your dry ingredients. They're just hanging out in a bowl ready to go. I got 1. I got 2. I got 3. I got 4. I got 5, I got 6, I got 7. Okay. William, is that a thumbs up or a hand? What you got there?
So are we going to add our sugar to the dry ingredients or wet ingredients?
That's actually going to go with the wet ingredients in this recipe, the one that I'm following right now. So everybody take your dry ingredient bowl and just kind of set it off to the side for a minute. We're going to need that in a minute, but not just yet. Addie, new question or old one?
I just forgot to lower my hand.
That's okay. And by the way, I love this too, because here we are cooking and all of us have flour and things on our hands. So if you have to tap the space bar, I'll give you extra time. Don't worry about it. Everyone's going to have flowery laptops tomorrow. Okay, before I get into the wet ingredients will include the sugar, and we're going to need this other bowl to do it, right? So pull out your wet ingredient bowl, and I'm going to lower my camera a bit so you can see what I'm doing here. Benji, while I'm doing this, go ahead.
Can we put our wet ingredients in the mixer bowl? Or in a separate bowl from that?
Yes, that's what I'm doing right. Works for me. You can do it right in the mixer. And here's what I'm already starting to do. I'm going to start with my butter. And the reason I'm going to start with my butter is I want it on the bottom. As I put this in the mixer, it's going to stir up the butter from the bottom and gradually bring it into contact with all the other ingredients. So I've got 1 stick, that's half a cup. And here I've got another stick, that's another half of a cup. For 1 full cup of butter. All right, so everybody, butter in the bowl. I see you. I got a thumbs up from you, Thomas. Go ahead.
My oven's heated up.
Fantastic. Once you got your butter in the bowl, we can start in on the sugar. And remember, there's 2 different kinds. We're going to start with the brown sugar here, and then we're going to go to the white sugar. And it requires 3/4 of a cup. The 1/4 cup is the smallest cup on my set of cup measures. It's the little guy. But I need 3 of these. And like someone said earlier in the call, I love someone said, hey, I got to pack that down. Let me show you how to get brown sugar in this cup. I take the bowl, or the bag of brown sugar, and I dip that cup measure down in it, and I pack it in the bowl. Like I pack the cup while it's inside the bag. So when I pull it out, I've got a solid 1/4 cup. This saves me from spilling it. I don't need to dump it out. And I put that in the pot there. Okay, so back in the bag it goes. I squish down a 1/4 cup while it's still in the bag. Bring it out. There's 2. And there's 3. Brown sugar in the bowl. Take a moment to do that. And I'm going to set that off to the side. Aaron, how you doing up there? I see that hand up.
Wait, how much brown sugar again? I didn't really hear you. You're glitching to me.
3. Yep. 3/4 cups. 3/4 cups. And the 1/4 cup for me is the smallest measure on my ring of them. 3/4 of those. Benji, how you doing? Thank you for the thumbs up, everybody. I'm seeing some people who are done there.
I was gonna say I very conveniently have a 3/4 cup measuring cup, which is like very weird.
That's preset for cookies, buddy. That's what you got right there. William, how you doing? I see that hand up.
I have all my ingredients pre-measured, so me and my mom
Good idea.
measured out everything
man.
except vanilla.
Beautiful. You know, when I look in the bowl in front of me right now, it doesn't look very cookie-ish yet, does it? I've got these sticks of butter and I've got a whole bunch of brown sugar just sitting down in the bottom of it. And I'm about to add my white sugar now. Now that I got my brown sugar with molasses in, I'm going to add 3/4 cups of white sugar too. And the white sugar, I'm just going to grab out of my bowl here, my sugar bowl. 1, 2, and 3. 3/4 cups of brown sugar, 3/4 cups of white sugar. Ms. Marshall, I'm going to mail you some cookies pretty soon. Going to get some of the best out of this batch.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. And I'm going to hold you to it, Mr. Hall.
Count them for Christmas. We'll make sure they're soft baked.
Mr. Hall, you're gonna get banned from School Academy if you don't send her cookies. She's holding you accountable.
I know who's got this thing. She's set.
Better make sure you put your baking
I see a
soda
few people.
powder.
Yep. I see a few people who are all the way done with your sugar, your butter, and your brown sugar. And here's where we have an optional ingredient. My sons love to put a teaspoon of vanilla extract in here. I'm going to spare that one for tonight, but some of you like vanilla. You can put that teaspoon of vanilla extract right in this bowl. And then we're going to go to the mixer in just a second. Aaron, how you doing up there?
I can't find my 1/4 or whatever that is. The 1/4. I can't find that.
What kind of cup measure do you have?
I got these 3.
Mm-hmm. Those look like 1 cup measures. They look big. Do they say 1 cup on the handle?
They don't. Hold on.
They don't? Okay.
This one
Maybe,
does.
Aaron, see if you can check with a parent on that one. That one does? Okay. So here's a little something you can do, but you got to estimate well. If you have a cup like that, you know what a half of that cup looks like, right?
Yeah.
If you filled it up halfway? Okay. So what if you filled it up 1/4 of the way? That's half of a half. You think you could do it? Could you estimate that?
Yes.
All right, give it a shot, bud. Let's see. And before you go dump it in the bowl, hold it up to the camera and I'll confirm that you got it or you need a little more or less. Thomas, how you doing up there?
So I put in some vanilla extract because I love vanilla extract. But my vanilla extract, like when I looked into it, it was so strong, like the smell was so strong that it like burned my eye and it smelled like an alcohol.
Yeah, that's what's in it. When they make vanilla extract, they take alcohol and they put vanilla to soak in that alcohol. And then the alcohol draws out the vanilla taste and then they pour it all out into a bottle. That's what you've got right there.
Yeah.
Benji, how you doing up there?
1, I wanted to say, how could you not put vanilla extract in chocolate chip cookies? I also wanted to say that we have like homemade vanilla extract, so yes, it definitely smells a bit alcoholic, but at least the
I
vanilla
agree
kind
with
of
you.
overpowers
The
that.
vanilla extract
Yes.
was
It's said, by the way, that is an old Common Arts medicine method. if they would often take plants from the yards and put those in alcohol, and they would soak out some of the best medicine. So there's your common art of cooking and your common art of medicine together. Aaron, how you doing up there with your quarter cup? And everybody else, we're almost ready to put this thing in the mixer.
Good.
Good? All right, buddy. That's a guy. Now, you got your wet ingredients, right? Which you look at it, you're like, wet ingredients? What do you mean? Well, that butter is about to make this whole thing kind of wet, right? You're going to notice that comes in, and we have yet to add to the eggs. So that's going to add a little bit of wetness to this too. Let me show you a technique for eggs, everybody. We're going to take this, and I'm going to put it in the mixer over here to the side. Some of you see my KitchenAid there. And you'll notice I've had my eggs armored up here in this this Pyrex. Now I'm going to take the eggs out, and I'm going to do a special trick that'll keep the egg shells from getting in my cookies. No one wants cookies with egg shells. They want crunch of other kinds, right? So we're going to take these eggs, and we're going to crack them on the edge of the Pyrex and then pour them in so that there are no shells. If I see shells in there, I can pick them out. I had one little one fall in there. There we go. I just pulled it out. I'm going to crack a second one here, pour it in, and now I'm guaranteed to have eggshell-free eggs in my cookies. Everybody give me a thumbs up once you've got your eggs, and you can add them right there to your mixing bowl. William's good. Benji's good. Miriam's good. Got you there. Take your time, everybody. No big rush. Aaron's got this. Aaron, this isn't your first time cracking eggs, buddy. You've done this before. Look at him go. He's set. Amelia, how are you doing? You got your eggs set? All right. And Thomas was here, but he's gone to run off and get some eggs, I suppose. Looking good. There he is, off camera. Good job, Aaron. You're making good cookies up there, buddy. All right. Now, as the last of us get the eggs in the bowl, right, and all of us are in a slightly different place here, here's where we can start to mix. And to do the mixing, if you've got one of these kind of KitchenAid type mixers, I look at a number of us do. When I was a kid, we did this by hand. My mom would hand us the bowl, and we would sit there because we were the ones who wanted the cookies for the most part, and we'd beat it with a wooden spoon over and over and over again. But these old mixers like this one, that's an easy one to do. I can put that right down in, lock it in place, and just set it on low. Don't need to go super fast, just low. Aaron, how we doing up there?
Good. My sister just came to me. Miss Blake, my sister got kicked out, and now she can't get back in.
Which
Uh-oh.
Aaron, which room was she in?
The art room with the watercolors.
Okay, I'm gonna put in the chat in here the document, and she should be able to rejoin. Okay, I'll put it in the chat.
Well, Joylyn, she won't be able to rejoin from this same machine. She would have to go to her own machine, her own device.
Right, your sister knows that, right, Aaron? That she needs to go to her own like laptop or iPad or whatever she's using.
She was using her own device.
Oh, but I see we don't have the actual meeting IDs. All we have are the links. Hang on, let me get the meeting ID and I'll be back. Okay, it'll take me just a second. I'll get the meeting ID.
Thomas, you had a hand up there. I'll catch you when you get back on cam. William, I've got you up there with a hand too. What you doing?
So
I don't know about any of you, but without the dried ingredients, this is starting to smell a lot like cookies.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't even put the chocolate in yet, have we? That's coming up. Thomas, how are you doing?
Okay, so if I disappear right over here, it's just where my mixer is and stuff. So like I might
I
be
got
off
you,
here,
buddy.
like,
No
right
sweat.
here, but like
Now,
right here is where my mixer is. Because that's the only place I can really plug it in.
I got you. Go get them. Now, all the rest of us, I see Addie's got an old hand mixer. We had those too. Wooden spoon, whatever we've got, we can start to slowly add the dry ingredients right to the side of the bowl. You don't want to stick your fingers in there, obviously. Instead, you can just tap those ingredients in, not all at once, little by little. Little bit in, wait for a second, let it blend, put in a little more, wait for a second, let it blend, and just slowly add those ingredients in as you go. And now I've got the last of my dries in there. I'm just going to let it go for a second. Let it all mix up. And the next part is the best part because we have to add the chocolate chips.
Hey, Aaron, which class did your sister want to join?
The water paint one.
The watercolor, but there's a couple of ones. Do you know if it's Miss Silkwood who's doing the Christmas card, or is it Miss Graves who's doing the prayer, or is it Miss Jacobson who's doing the glitter?
It's Miss Silkwood.
Miss Silkwood. Okay, I'll put the meeting ID in the chat. Okay.
Now, I'm going to pause my mixer for a second to talk to you about how to add the chips. This bag of chocolate chips says to add about half the bag. I don't know how many cups that is. I'm just going to estimate about half the bag. If you add a few extras, you can. It won't hurt your cookies, but you don't want to add the whole bag. If you do that, it'll just get too melty in the oven. So put about half the bag of chocolate chips in your dry mix, nice and slow and steady, and let it keep going on the mixer. Miriam, go ahead.
Well, my bag of chocolate chips is like 4.5 pounds, so I don't think I should actually add half of that. How much do you think I should add?
So about 12 ounces, which is a little bit less than a pound, about 3/4 of a pound. Do a best estimate. I would say maybe, 2 cups, a little bit more than 2 cups should just about cut it. Now, Miriam, I know you're a fan of chocolate, so if it ends up being 2.5 cups, I don't think anything's going to get hurt by that, for sure. All right, got my chocolate chips in there, and then I'm just going to let the mixer do its magic. Benji, how we doing up there?
One, I wanted to say that I'm pretty sure my bag of chocolate chips is a lot smaller than yours because it is 12 ounces. So it's the entire bag. Also wanted to say
whole bag.
I'm gonna probably put most of the bag, but I'm leaving a few for myself to eat, like before the chocolate chips are done, because I'm like that. I also wanted to say that you don't want to leave the mixer running too long while the chocolate chips are in it, because it'll like shred the chocolate chips. I've learned from mistakes.
That's correct. Now, those are what Bob Ross might refer to as happy accidents, because if you shred your chocolate chips, then you just get chocolate chip cookies. It's not so bad. But yes, I agree with you, Benji. That's one to hold. I'm going to hold on mine right now. I think they're pretty well blended. Thomas, how you doing up there?
I think my dough is almost done.
Dough's almost done. All right. Mine is. I'm looking at my chocolate chip dough right here, and it's looking really good. And it's one of those things too, where like everybody tries to snitch a little bit of the chocolate chip cookie dough. We all know how it goes. Look, Mr. Pinchek standing right there. Saw that. That's that's how we roll. So of course one has to sample the dough just to make sure it's good. You wouldn't want to serve bad cookies to anyone. That would be horrible. We couldn't do that. You're just saving your friends, right? Think about it that way. What a noble cause you've engaged in right there. Way to go. Miriam, how you doing up there?
See, I actually give my brothers the dough to make sure that, so like if they don't die, I eat the cookies.
That's very gracious of you. So by about now, right, most of us are done with our mixing, or we're getting close to being done with mixing. Aaron, how are you doing up there?
My dough is looking like this so far.
Yeah, buddy, that looks really good. You're good to go. Now comes the fun part, because what we're going to do is get a spoon, and we're going to spoon that dough out onto a cookie sheet. But we have some preps to do beforehand. Thomas, go ahead.
My dough the entire time it was stirring, like almost like fell. It was almost like it was like going around and it was almost being like thrown out of the bowl. I was so scared the whole time.
I learned a hard lesson with that once by adding too much flour at one time, and the bowl got lumpy on one side, and it sounded like the washing machine when you leave like 3 blankets on one side of it. Ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. You got to go stop the thing. It was like that. All right, Benji, I'll be right over to your place, man. That looks great. Yep. We got this. Now, here's how to prep a cookie sheet. All right. Most of us are to the point now where we can start this process. So get your baking sheet in front of you, right? And you can hold on your mixing for a little bit. I'll give you about 30 seconds or so to get your baking sheet. We're going to prepare this for putting the cookies in the oven. Now, there are some very magical baking sheets out there today, but I don't happen to own them. The magical baking sheets have non-stick coatings and all kinds of crazy stuff on there. I have an old school cookie sheet. So to prevent, yeah, that's a good one right there, Miriam. That's a silicone baking mat. That's one of the primo ones. That's a good thing right there. With this old school cookie sheet, I need to make sure my cookies don't stick to the sheet itself. Look at y'all. Y'all are technologically advanced. So if you have a baking sheet like this, the first thing we have to do is to coat it. And I've got some cooking spray right here that I'm going to use for mine. But you can, in the old days, what we used to do is just take a stick of butter and rub it along, right? And I see William's mom has got some wax paper right there. That's another way of doing this. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do it. I'm going to use just a little bit of cooking spray. Give it a nice one down to make sure my cookies don't stick to the surface. All right. And yeah, there we go. And now comes the magic. I'm going to take a spoon, or I could just do it with my hands, right? My hands are washed. I'm good to go. Nice job, Aaron. You're set. My hands are washed, so I typically do this with my hands. I reach in and grab a ball of cookie dough, and I make it, about tablespoon size, maybe an inch across, like that if I'm holding it in my hand. But different people like different things. Some of you like small cookies. My family likes large cookies. I have 3 teenage sons. Large cookies are the way to go. So make them whatever size you want, big or small, and arrange them in a pattern on your baking sheet. Go ahead, Aaron. I see your hand up.
We actually use these. My family use these.
Ah, nice. Perfect.
We
Tongs.
just press the button on the thing and it likes going. It's
Buddy, you got some good stuff going on there. That's perfect for that. Miriam, how you doing up there?
I just wanted to say I have a tip for if you're using your hands and you don't want to get them really sticky. If you put a little bit of water on them, then it won't stick to your hands.
Yep. When I make bread, I typically do it with flour. I'll just put a little bit of flour on my hands and then I'll wash them off in a flour bowl. Try and make the cookie balls, right? These kind of pre-cookies, all the same size. That way, when you cook them, they'll all come out at about the same level of cookedness. Some of them won't be overdone or underdone. You know, it's really funny too. I'll tell you all. Here I am making cookies, but I'll tell you who makes the most cookies in my house is my oldest son. He's 18 years old, and he makes cookies probably every other day. Chocolate chips and snickerdoodles and other things. It's his real thing. He could be down here teaching you how to do this probably even better than I could. Benji, how you doing up there?
I wanted to say that I have the same thing someone was talking about, the like scoop thing. It's extremely useful.
Yes, it is. Now I've got a dozen cookies here on my tray. Once you got about a dozen on your tray, that's pretty good. Space them out evenly so that as they melt, because as they cook, they will kind of spread out a little bit. They won't stay that ball shape. And some of you, ta-da, some of you might want to try at some point a concept called the pan cookie. Imagine instead of making a dozen little cookies, you just make one giant cookie. If you've got an 8.5 by, or what is it, a 9 by 13 baking pan, you can pack the bottom of it with cookie dough and just bake that. Cut it into little squares. My brother and I used to do that to prevent someone getting the bigger cookie. We would cut the squares and let the other guy pick it. I only had one brother. It was like that. Aaron, how are you up there? I see that hand.
So I got about 9 cookies because my tray is small. And they're spaced out evenly. Should I put them in the oven to 9 to 11 minutes?
Yes, sir. You are ready to go. I was going to say, anyone who has got their cookies just about ready to go and your oven is heated up, you can go put them in the oven. Start with 9 minutes, check them at 9, and add time if you need it, right? Always go to the low end and then work your way up. So if you're ready for your cookies to go in the oven, and I am too, I'm going to go put mine in the oven. There we go. Let's do so.
I love how everyone in this group looks so festive. Did you plan this in advance, Mr. Hall? People wearing their Christmas colors and Christmas hats and Christmas aprons. It's fabulous.
Nope, that is just the kind of students we have around here. And of course, cookies, I think, make them even more festive.
That's right.
Let's see, Thomas, I got your hand up, and Aaron, I got your hand up too. Go ahead, Thomas, and then Aaron.
All right, so I actually have the longest Santa hat in existence. And so while I was here, I was a bit cold. So I'm just gonna like put it around here in my neck, just a little blanket. and also my
You're
hair.
set, bud. Looking good. Aaron, how are you doing up there, bud? I see you working.
Good. And the best thing about cooking, it's kind of sounding weird. The favorite part of my cooking is cleaning up.
Oh, you know what? I hope your mom heard that. And I hope your dad heard that too, because that is one of those things that we all need to do when we're done cooking. When I'm done cooking here, I'm going to clean up too. I'm going to make sure my workspace looks very good. That is important.
I'm totally jealous
White
of
family, how
everyone
are your
getting to
cookies
taste
doing
their
down there?
dough right now. Everybody, oh, I'm so jealous.
Benji, what you got, buddy?
So, I always make when my first set of cookies are in the oven, I always put more cookies on the second pan, so it's a lot easier to change them out. But I've realized this cookie dough. Oh, I usually make a double batch of my normal cookie recipe, so I was thinking this is a small amount of cookies, but actually it really isn't, because it's nearly as many as a double batch of my normal recipe.
So I have to ask, how many of you will make a batch of cookies and then take all that cookie dough and go put it in the refrigerator for later? Because some families, that's how you make cookies around. I'm going to go put that in the refrigerator because I know, yeah, Amelia's like, yep, that's me. And Thomas sticking his head, yep, that is a way right there.
I had cookies instead of cake on my birthday, and that's what, well, cookie dough, and that's what we did.
It is a fine way to go. I would say, look, Miss White's dancing. Her cookies are so good. She is stepping. That's Thomas is in on the act now. So everyone's got a Santa hat and they're dancing. This is great. While the cookies are in the oven. You see, this is festive. This is what we're looking for there.
One more.
Don't dance too close to your oven, right? There we go.
I don't know if,
Would I be allowed to have a bit of your cookie dough?
yes, get a spoon.
Go ahead, Benji.
Here.
Yep.
So,
Oh, yeah.
what I usually do is when I have like a last bit of cookie dough left after like the few times I put like different pans in the oven, and it's not enough to fill a whole pan, I just make either 1 or 2 large cookies and save those for myself for later because chef's tax, baker, whatever. Yeah.
Yes, it's like dad tax.
That
and
works.
tax, but then chef tax.
There it is. Well, some of you might know the origin of the term baker's dozen. That refers to 13, right? The baker can't sell a dozen if he hasn't tasted one. Baker's dozen, that's 13. How we doing, Thomas?
Wasn't the baker's dozen like from like a really popular baker, but then like a woman like came up and said like, hey, can I have a dozen? And then she gave him 12, and then like he cursed him, and then he turned it, and then after that and then after he changed, like all of his food got bad after that, and then after he changed it to 13, and like they like went back to normal or something. Is that the story?
I haven't heard that one, but now I've got to research it. The way I learned it was they made one extra for the baker so he could test it, just to make sure.
Okay, I mean maybe this is like a
How you doing up there, Aaron? I see your hand pop up. Oh.
Yeah, I just put another batch, and when we make cookies every time, we have a dog. His name is Clever. He was so cute when he was a puppy. That's him. And
That was him.
and I have a little cookie right here from him. Sometimes, wait, that's not actually a cookie. I want to try to make another one for him because dogs can't have chocolate, so I'm trying to make one without chocolate. That's just a cookie, a plain cookie.
Your dog is going to love you for that, and I'm glad you know about dogs and chocolate too. That's an important one. Dogs can't have caffeine of any kind. Chocolate is one of those things that has caffeine in it. Miriam, how are you doing?
I just wanted to say that in my family, we can never put the cookie dough in the freezer because there's 8 of us. So we eat 24 cookies in like 2 days.
I gotcha. I was one of 2 kids. I was the oldest of 2, but my wife is the last of 6. And I think if she was standing next to me, she'd be shaking her head yes. She understands that. Let's see. I've got about 2 minutes left for my cookies, and then I'm going to pull them out and show you how to cool them off, because you don't want to leave hot cookies on a sheet. If you do, they're going to continue baking, and oftentimes it burns the bottom of the cookie. So we're going to need a spatula to get the cookies off the sheet. You want to have some oven mitts ready, and you want to have a spatula ready here. I'm going to go get mine in the meantime, and I'll be right back. Got my spatula. I'm ready to go. I got a red spatula just like William does. We're set. It's my festive Christmas. Look at this. We're red and green around here. Thomas has the green one. We are Christmas spatulaed.
No, so I have a green shirt, and then I have
There we go. Ta-da.
So how's it going, Mr. Hall?
Oh, I've got 1 minute left on cookies, and I think a number of us around here have about the same amount. We're about to pull them out of the oven.
I thought I'd stop in and see if I could smell them yet.
If only Zoom could do that.
If
If only Zoom could do it.
If only.
It does smell
Uh-oh.
good here.
Benji's got some pretty exciting fireworks going on there.
That he does.
I love that this group is so festive, that the cheerful aprons and the Santa hats.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, yes. Aaron, you got some Christmas trees in your kitchen all of a sudden.
Yeah.
What you got there, buddy?
Cookie just finished, and you can hear them.
Oh,
Welcome.
there's my oven beeping. I got to go get my cookies. I'll be right back. Look at that. Now, these are soft baked. This is 9 minutes in. So some of you who don't like a soft baked cookie, you want it to be a little harder or crunchier, you can leave it in for another minute or 2. But I'm going to show you the secret to getting them off. What you want to do is let the bottom harden up for a minute. Don't just start scooping them off the tray, because some of them, if they're soft, will fall apart. And if only the calories fell out when that happened, right? If only.
But Mr. Hall, don't we get to eat up the ones that
So I
break?
let the bottom. Yes, of course. That's it. So you're encouraging me to break all these. I see. It's going to be the way that goes. Now, the bottoms of each of these now are baking in a little bit, so I feel pretty confident I can lift them off. And I don't scoop really hard. I'm going nice and slow and easy. Oh, and they are soft. Look at that, even a little squishy on the edge. And I'm going to put these on a cooling rack right here made of wire. This allows the air to circulate around it. And as that happens, these cookies will just kind of cool off a little bit, get back to room temperature, but still stay a little bit soft. So if your cookies are ready, go ahead and shovel them off here onto a cooling rack. And there we go. Everybody be careful moving such hot things. Remember, this tray has been in the oven at 375 degrees for a good 9 minutes. It's going to be hot. And there we go. Benji, how you doing?
gonna say that I personally love my cookies hard baked. So I end up usually putting them in for like a minute over the time that's usually stated in the instructions or something. My mom doesn't like hard baked cookies, so usually I make
Yep.
like one pan without them being overcooked. But personally, I don't like soft cookies. They're meh. I'm sure a lot of people would disagree with me on that.
I got you. It's all a matter of taste with these. And I'll tell you, anyone who does like hard cookies, what you can do, besides keeping them in the oven a little longer, is add another half a teaspoon of baking soda. The baking soda will harden them up just a little bit more. Some people like that taste, some people don't. It's all a matter of good experiments. Isn't it funny how science kind of crosses with cookies here? Good experiments. Gather your data. See how it fits. Aaron, how are you doing up there?
I just put my other batch in the oven, and I just hate cookie dough. For real, I hate it.
You hate cookie dough.
I just see William just.
You would rather have the cookie?
Yeah, I just see William sitting right there looking at his cookie. Gross.
William's having a good time with that.
Oh yes, my cookies are starting to connect in the oven, and I might end up with
Yep.
one really
Addie, yours
big
look-
cookie that is going to be needed separation.
Addie, yours look pretty good. How'd that come out?
They came out
Yeah,
Oh my
look
gosh,
at that.
those look
Wow.
so good.
How many dozen cookies have we cooked on this Zoom call, really? I mean, like we have a bakery going on here. Those look good, Addie. Thomas, how are you doing up there? I see that hand.
So I think my
You're
cookies
welcome.
are almost done. They've been in for about 13 minutes because I put them in like really high. And so, because I like my cookies like, kind of like a lot of inner stuff. Like it's kind of soft and it's like a crunch on the inside.
Nice. Looking good. Miriam, how are yours going up there? I know you've been on cam, off cam. Any luck there?
Yes.
Scale of 1 to 5, Miriam. How they turning out?
They're good. I mean, they're melting together, but
They'll still taste good.
exactly.
Sometimes those are the best.
My
kind.
brothers will still eat
Yes,
them.
they will. Make sure you keep some for yourself there, Miriam. Brothers eat a lot, I know. Miss White, how are yours coming up there? They look good.
I think when we pull them out, I think they actually aren't quite done. So we're going to put them in for a couple more minutes. They were pulling apart too much. So
Yep.
we got plenty of cookie dough left, so we're not complaining.
Nice. Everybody, as you're doing your cookies here, remember, if they're a little too soft to start, you can leave them in the oven for another minute or two, and then you can come back to them. You can cook them out however you want. Just don't leave them in there for too long. You don't want to burn them. Thomas, how you doing?
My sister is also overjoyed that I've made too much cookie dough.
I'm sure many a sibling will appreciate this adventure this evening. Addie's on round 2. Love it.
With this cookie
Amelia, I
recipe,
hope that was a glass of milk to go with these cookies.
Pretty good.
Nope.
It's water.
Looking good, everybody. Looking good. Aaron, is that an old hand or a new hand?
For some reason, my cookies burned. I put them at 9 minutes and I preheated to 375.
How badly did they burn? A little bit or a lot?
I think not a lot. Where are you?
That's good. So Aaron, what you can do with your next batch, since you know your oven runs hot that way, is just leave them in for 8 minutes. Cut 1 minute, shave a minute off the time, check them then and see if they're burning or if they're not. And this is the way we just adjust cooking times for, gosh, just about anything, whether it's bread or cookies or others. Thomas, how you doing up there?
So mine have been in for about 15 minutes. They're still really soft. So
So
it's like a case
did you
of
preheat the oven or did you start with a
I
cooler
did.
oven?
I preheated it. It beeped. It was at 375, and it's been in there. And now I'm about to like test them again with a fork. But okay, we're almost done. But we're trying to make them crunchy, but they are definitely not cooperating.
Give it time. Give it a little bit of time. They'll bake off on that one. That's looking good. Crew, I think right now we are underway. Look at that. I love the siblings starting to circle. Thomas, I see your sister back there in the background. This is great. Siblings coming into. Hey, you making cookies? Nice. Can't wait to see. Yep. Make sure you share, everybody. Crew, I propose we kind of let's break things here. Everybody's got a batch of cookies. They're coming out of the oven. Maybe you got another one to bake in there. Just go and experiment a little. Go have some fun with this. Bake off as much as you can. And I would love to know how everybody's stuff is doing. If you can, take a picture of your cookies, send them in. Right? Miss Blake was asking about that earlier. I'd love to see how all these things come out on the far side of things. Thomas, how you doing up there?
Do you know how to take a screenshot on Mac? Because like I wanted to like send a screenshot of the cookies, but I don't know how to take a screenshot.
That's a great question. I think some Macs have a screenshot button. Does anyone who has a Mac out there know how to do that better than I do?
I do.
Aaron, you know?
Yes.
Tell us, what's up?
You just press Command T and it'll probably. Well, you have a MacBook Pro. A Mac. It should be.
Is it Control or Command?
It's Command T. You got. So you hold Command, then you press T.
I'm trying like it's not. It's just like giving me like a.
That one I don't know. That might be one to ask parents about. You know, one great thing about teaching here at Scholé is I learn as much about computers from my students as you guys might learn about making cookies from me. That's a wonderful thing. Trading knowledge.
My cookies are
There,
done.
Thomas, that looks good. Look at that. Yeah, they are. Nice. Addie's munching away, watching the rest of us finish our cookies. I love it. Benji, how you doing?
My first batch is out. I must say, I think I didn't put enough baking soda because they're super soft. But that also might be because they just came out of the oven. So I'm hoping they get a bit harder as they cool down because I don't like super soft cookies.
I see that William has a pan cookie on his hands.
Yeah.
That turned out to be one big one.
I wanted large cookies, but I didn't space them enough, and they might be a bit too large, and it just melted together to make. You can see.
It's all good, buddy.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to. So we do have the oven mitted edge where. And one of them actually was starting to fall off. Here.
Well, I'm glad you saved it before it fell down to the bottom. I think Mom will cut that one up equitably. You essentially have a pan cookie right there, and it won't taste any worse for all that adventure. It's going to taste just the same. That's a wonderful thing.